Continuing along, I want to go through this point, and this time perpendicular. So this slope is negative 1 over 1. If I want to be perpendicular, I'm going to get the opposite reciprocal. So instead of a negative fraction, I'm going to have a positive fraction instead of 1 over 1. This one's going to stay 1 over 1. Nothing to flip. So this is my slope. This is my point. Here we go. Y minus negative 5 is equal to 1. X minus negative 4. I'm going to distribute the 1. Y plus 5 is equal to x plus 4. And then I'm going to pull the 5 from both sides. Y is equal to x minus 1. My last one, this slope is negative 2 over 3. So my perpendicular slope, instead of 2 over 3, is going to be 3 over 2. And instead of a negative fraction, it's going to be a positive fraction. So we want to be perpendicular. I'll have y minus 1 is equal to 3 over 2, x minus 4. Distribute the 3 over 2, y minus 1 is equal to 3 over 2x minus 6. Add the 1, y is equal to 3 over 2x minus 5. And that's it for that problem. Continuing along. All right, get another color. Transformations. Now this is giving students a few problems. All right, and I understand it's a little crazy. So here we go. We'll do our very best. Give myself a straight edge. And all of these are going to be starting off as an x minus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and get my x minus 3 moving. It's going to look like that. Get another x minus 3. We're going to take this line, this slope of 1, intercept of negative 3 line, and I'm going to transform it. We're going to get and move it around. Change the slope, maybe change the y-intercept a little bit, shift it left, shift it right. All of these wonderful things we're going to do to this line. It looks something very similar to this. So this is my basic f of x. All of my g of x's are going to change it in some way. In this case, I want to take my original equation, I want to shift it up 5 units. I'm going to add 5 to all of the y values. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Taking a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm shifting it up 5 units. Really, it just changes the y-intercept. Instead of a negative 3, it's a positive 2. You'll notice that the slope doesn't change. The other stuff, it's just been shifted up. This one, I'm going to shift all the units, in this case, to the right 2. Minus is to the right, plus is to the left. It's super fantastic. So I'm going to shift it to the right 2. Looks just like that. Man, it's not so bad. Getting on to the slope. Now this, all of my values are going to be multiplied by 3. So whatever it was, it's going to be multiplied by 3. This is going to change the slope. It's going to change the y-intercept. So instead of negative 3, starting out, I'm going to start out at negative 9. Instead of a slope of positive 1, because again everything gets multiplied by 3, this is like 3 times x minus 3. All right, that's going to give you a 3x minus 9 as your new linear equation. So y-intercept gets multiplied by 3, slope gets multiplied by 3, everything gets multiplied by 3. New line looking like this. This one, negative x. Everything is now the opposite of what it used to be. This is negative f of x, so negative x minus 3. All of your y values get flipped. Instead of negative 3, positive 3. Instead of a slope of positive 1, we're going to have a slope of negative 1. And if you carry that math out, negative function, it looks just like that. So don't get too crazy. You're going to flip it over the x-axis. It's in your notes, but even if you don't remember your notes, you can always kind of figure it out using those equations. Last page. Now they don't say this explicitly, but you are still using f of x is equal to x minus 3, and you're still changing that around. So we'll take, and I'll get both of those lined up. Looks real good. Cha. All right. Now This time you'll notice that we're multiplying inside of our parentheses. This means just x. So when I do x minus 3, instead of x, I'm going to put in a 3x. So you'll notice the y-intercept doesn't change. We're still starting at negative 3. The only thing that's changed our slope is going to be 3 times faster in the growing. So instead of up 1 over 1, it's going to be up 3 over 1. But that y-intercept critical, that y-intercept doesn't change when you're inside the parentheses because it's just going to attach itself to x. This one, negative x, again, that's like putting a negative x in for x. Your y-intercept is not going to change. You're just going to take the opposite slope. In this case, we had a slope of positive 1, so opposite of that would be, or well, the negative of that would be negative 1. It flips over the y-axis. You'll notice all our points are mirrored over the y-axis. That's in the notes. That's how they describe it. If you don't remember that, you can always take and drop it into the equation, see what happens to your y equals. All right, continuing right along. Let's get my black pen. It's easier to read. We're going to shift it up 7 units rather. Shift it up. So if I have a new function, and I'm going to take an original function and change it in order to shift it up, plus 7. If I want to shift it left and right, that's going to be a plus or minus inside the parentheses, with to the right being a minus and to the left being a plus. So I'll have my new function is the same as my old function, and I'm going to shift it left, so that's going to be a plus 2 inside that parentheses. Reflecting across the y-axis, it's going to be this one. All you want to do is change that slope. Instead of a positive slope, we get a negative slope. The y-intercept stays the same, so it's going to be g of x is equal to the f of x with a negative slope. Whatever it was, if you make it negative, it'll reflect across that axis. An excellent example is right here on 24. Make the slope twice as steep. Now notice they said make the slope twice as steep and not double everything. So we're going to slap that 2 on the inside here, and that will only affect the slope instead of the entire equation. Put that 2 on the inside. Shift it down 10 units, that's just like number 25, with the exception that instead of up, we're going down, so f of x minus 10. Shift it to the right, instead of a plus going to the left, we're going to the right, so I'm going to use a minus on the inside. G of x is equal to f, and we'll have x minus 9. Reflect across the x-axis. If you remember from our other one, right here, when you want to reflect across the x-axis, all of your points flip vertically. So I don't just want my slope to be the opposite, I also want that y-intercept to be the opposite. It's going to be on the outside because I want the y-intercept to change as well. If it's positive, it needs to be negative. If it's negative, it needs to be positive. Looks just like that. Make the slope half as steep. Again, when you want to change just the slope, it's going to be on the inside. However you want to do it, you're going to have to use a multiplier. So half as much looks good. Make sure you go over the word problems in your notes. It's super handy. You may or may not see them. You may or may not see them again on the test. Be ready. Anyway, we'll catch you later. Good luck.